Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. On the screen here, you see some of my results from a previous month. And I show this to you because I want you to know that this tool that I'm going to be talking about really does work. I realize that I can sit here and say a bunch of things, but you would be totally justified to say, okay, Clay, that's great that you're saying this stuff, but does it actually work? Are there any real world implications for it when things are actually happen? So there's always the theory versus reality situation, and I do want you to know that the reality of the matter is this tool that I'm going to talk about works. Now, what is this tool based around? It's based around probably the most common pitfall, or easily the top three most common pitfalls that anybody involved in the stock market or any financial market is going to be struggling with, and that is the emotion of greed. Greed is one of those things where you sit there, and here's one reason why it's so tricky. You'll say, no, I'm not a greedy person, therefore greed will never get me. And then all of a sudden, you do something really stupid, or you do something, and in hindsight, you look back and say, what was I thinking? Have you ever been there? Have you ever been in one of those situations where you just say, what was I thinking? And then if you're honest with yourself, in many situations, and again, ask any veteran trader this, most times they're going to say, you know what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking because I was being greedy. And greed can be a real problem. So we've identified the problem of greed, which brings up the next obvious question. Well, what can we do to fight off this problem of greed? What is the solution to greed? And that's where this tool comes into play. And this tool is all centered around building perspective. When you have perspective, it is a great thing to be able to fight off greed. It's essentially like a shield that you can carry around. We'll call it the perspective shield. And whenever greed tries to attack, you just hold up the shield and it will keep it at bay. Once again, this is not theory. That's why I'm showing you these results here. It really does work. So the tool is very simplistic. It's 100% free, but it's very, very powerful. Now, maybe you've already heard of this tool, Bankrate.com. I'll say that again, Bankrate.com. Powerful stuff. And really, it has nothing to do with trading the markets or anything like that. But it's a banking site. It's all about growing your money. And if you're watching this video, you are very clearly interested in growing your money. Good for you. So growing your money, though, again, greed can be a massive issue. So we need to build some perspective, right? Let's get our perspective shield. So what is our perspective shield that Bankrate can help us with? Well, you come up here to banking, and then you go to compare accounts. And under that, let's look at CD rates. CDs, in a nutshell, are just a very safe way. They're a way to grow your money. They're a way to build your money. Now, sure, they're quote unquote safe, but you can also make the argument that they're not safe because when you factor in the rate of inflation and stuff like that, you're actually losing money. But we won't go down that economic rabbit hole. But like I said, safe, I use that in a very literal word because that's kind of the mainstream way, the traditional way of thinking. Well, yeah, you can always put your money into a safe bank CD. So, but remember, like I said, it's not quite as straightforward as that. But the point here being, that's what a CD is. It's just a way that you can build money. And if you were to walk into your local bank, and usually they have some sort of poster or something that says, hey, here's our CD rates. So in order for this, to really kind of work as a tool, go up here and, we'll just make that $1,000. Actually, let's just make it $500. And then let's make it, you can add in your zip code. So I put mine in already, 49405 or 49504. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan area. So let's go through here. And this is where the perspective shield is really going to come to full fruition. Actually, let's just do, and let's do all products up here. So let's take a look at what is being offered out there. And the key thing that we want to look for is the percentage. So right now I see lots of, and when I say percentage, I'm looking at this area of the screen. So let's just scroll down here. And so far, the best I've seen is 2.35%. Has anybody seen anything? Let me know. Have you seen anything other than 2. Best I've seen, and that's the great thing. Bankrate, that's what they're doing. They're literally searching, as of right now, if I wanted to grow my money through a Bankrate or through a bank CD, they're scanning the entire markets and let me know, here are your best choices, literally across the country, across the world, because some of these are international banks. But for this, we found 2.35%. Now, that's only part of it. Yes, the percentage matters, but the other key thing is the time aspect. So 1 year. So 2.35% in 1 year. That is what this CD is willing to offer. So if you're looking to grow your money, you would look at this and say, okay, I can get a 2.35% return on my money in 1 year. So those are the two things to keep in mind. 2.35%, 1 year. Let's now circle into the stock market though. And once again, along the lines of, I don't want to just sit here and speak in theory. I want to show some actual reality. I want to show some real world results that, the topic here that we're talking about, how does it actually function in the real world of money and growing that money? So what I'm going to use for this is I offer a service at claytrader.com, and part of this service is I send out weekly scans about stocks that I find. And, part of that is just, as you'll see here as an example, and I want to use some more, but again, these are real world results. These were sent out to members, and, members had the opportunity to partake and make these trades, in these certain stocks. So there is no theory going on here. This is reality. These were real world results that I sent out to members, and these were real world potential results that they got. So that is the backbone here. Is let's now see how the stock market, how keeping greed under control actually works out. So 2.35% in 1 year. So in this situation here, in this example, I sent out an alert. And this was just based on a technical pattern and ascending triangle. So I mapped out the pattern there. So let's see how this one actually played out. So here was the stock going into the new week. I always send out the newsletter over the weekend. So you can see right there, actually got above that red line, a little bit of a move back, but then started to go back up, started to go up more, came back, and then went up that much more before the price finally just totally rolled right back over, which was a move of 6.2%. And if depending on what you've kind of seen and looked around, a lot of people would say 6.2%, that's it. I saw somebody saying they made like 600%. Greed. So what did we just learn though? What time period was this? This all took place, and let's just call it 2 weeks. It was a little shorter than that, but let's just say 2 weeks. And let's also say that you messed up half the trade, meaning you only got 3% from it. So what was that Bankrate CD? 2.35% for 1 year, or how about 3% in 2 weeks? Again, 2.35% for 1 year, or 3% for 2 weeks. Crazy, huh? That's actually not too bad, is it? What did we just do? We put up our shield against greed and said, you know what? Yeah, I get it. 6.2% doesn't really seem like that much, but hey, you know what? Even if I messed up half the trade and got 3% in 2 weeks, that's a whole lot better than 2.35% for 1 year. Here's another example that I sent out from members. So right here, maybe you're a little bit more familiar with trading. We were looking for some sort of bounce, so that's why I put it in the bounce category here, looking to see if the price could get up through that trend line right there. So let's see how this one played out. So let's see how the week played out. First day right there, did not waste any time. Price not only bounced, got up through that trend line, and then continue to work its way that much higher. And I also mapped out this trend line there. And, for those of you that use technical charts, it's always kind of disappointing when the chart is right. So it didn't quite hit that trend line, but definitely got right up within that range of it, especially right there. I mean, like I said, did it hit it exactly? No. Did it get really close? Yeah, it really did. And then from there, rolled back over. But again, that was a move of 10.4%. Okay, 10.4%, that's it. But remember, that's that greed voice showing up. So think about it though. This happened in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right around 8 days. So let's just call it 2 weeks. Let's say you messed up half the trade, so only you got 5% from it. 5% in 2 weeks, or what? Or 2.35% in 1 year. That doesn't seem too bad, is it? That makes trading, that makes growing your wealth a little bit easier when you're actually saying, you know what, that's still pretty good compared to what it could be. And then the final example here, but before I go into this, full disclosure, I'm not trying to come across like this happens all the time and that, hey, the stock market is great because this will happen to you like 3 times a week. That's not what I'm trying to get. My point here is that the stock market is a powerful place, And you never know when you might just be in the right place at the right time and be putting yourself in a position where you can do quite well. But again, it's not like this happens all the time, and I'm not saying that at all. But here is another example of a alert that I sent out to members. And in this situation, called it a pullback play, just meaning that, you know what, yeah, the price has made a nice move, but let's see if the price can pull back here a little bit. As I said, first off, don't chase the price. That's not a good habit to have. Not quite as bad as greed. Well, actually, greed leads to chasing prices, but that's a whole nother video in and of itself. But the point being, my point was that a pullback would create a much better situation for this. So let's see if the price could get down to that $3 mark. So let's see how this one played out. The very first day after the alert was sent out, you can see right there, went down there and literally hit a low of $2.98. So mainly bounced right off that level. Okay, fine, 2 cents below, but pretty close. And then you can see the next day, the price just exploded back upwards, but it was not done. It actually continued that much more before finally having the price pull back a little bit. But that move was good for 48.7% in 1, 2, and 3 days. Once more, let's say you screwed up half the trade and made 24% from it. 24%, sure, is that some sort of, oh wow, I made a 100% move? No, it's not that. It's not a social media gain, but it's a very real world gain. It's a very real possibility for those that aren't greedy. And why would you not be greedy? Because you'd be sitting there saying, wow, and like I said, 24% is coming from me assuming that you mess up half the trade. But let's say you've even got 30%. 30% for 3 days? I mean, you can walk into your local bank and say, yeah, I see those bank CD rates, but I'd rather have 30% in 3 days. They'll probably call the police on you and be like, to get this crazy person out of here. So perspective is a great shield for that greed. And here are just 3 examples, once more, real world examples that were sent out to members where they had the opportunity to put some good, solid, real world gains into their pocket. So we started with this screenshot here, and I just want to, kind of add in the final bit of perspective. So if you run the numbers, started with 126,702, I ended with 11,300. So you run the return on investment calculation there, and it comes out to 8.9%. Again, compared to social media gains, what you may see out there when you're constantly seeing percentages up over 100%, is 8.9% good? No, people be like, wow, you're terrible. You only made 8.9%, but that's greed. That's social media nonsense. What did we just learn? I made 8.9% in this situation in 1 month. What is my other choice that a bank CD would give me? A bank CD would give me 2.35% for 1 year. For 1 year. And I made 8.9% in 1 month. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the stock market. I think I'm going to go with trading and building wealth in that manner. But it's all about keeping things in perspective. It's very, very easy to get greedy. In fact, I'll show it right there. There's an example of getting greedy. Down $1,800. But when you keep things in perspective, when you're not greedy and you take what the market gives you, you're going to get consistency and you're going to put yourself in a much better spot. So use that tool, Bankrate.com. Whenever you're watching this video, even if you're watching this video 2 years after I upload it, what are the current Bankrate CDs? In fact, leave me a comment down below. When you're watching this video, what's the best Bankrate CD that you could find? And it'll be fun to see how Bankrate CDs change, because they do change over time. And I bet we're going to see some pretty crazy numbers on there. So in the comment section down below, go do your research, use Bankrate.com, and let me know whenever you're watching this video, what is the current bank rate that you see. So hopefully this helps. But again, I realize that if you're brand new, this may not seem like a big deal, but I'd encourage you, please find anybody that's ever traded in the markets and say, hey, did the emotion of greed ever cause you any problems? And if they're honest, they'll say, oh yeah, there's this one time I did, and then they're going to tell you some sort of horror story, and then the story's probably going to end. And you know what? I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but in reflecting on it, I was just being greedy. So be very aware of greed and realize that it's something that needs to be fought off, and that's where this tool comes into play. Establish perspective, and Bankrate.com and those bank CDs are a great way to do exactly that. If you enjoy this video, please hit that like button, and I will definitely make more of them if there's plenty of interest. And also subscribe to the channel, lots of other videos. And then as far as the comment is concerned, as I already said, do your research, go practice using Bankrate.com and let me know in the comment section below, what is the current bank rates that you're seeing as you watch this video. So again, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I appreciate you taking the time to hang out and watch it.